Welcome to the 261st episode of Ask MandRproductions. If you have a question you want to answer in next week's episode, leave it down in the comments section below and I just might choose it. And I have some great news. I won't be getting evicted for at least one more month because Whatnot is covering my mortgage by sponsoring this video. More on them later. I've used that joke twice now, so that's probably it for that one. Jamie says, if someone were to get into the realm of Lego investing, how would they stay up to date on sales and clearance deals around stores like Walmart, Costco, etc.? And this is something that's relatively easy to do. I follow the Lego deal subreddit, so if I see someone in another state or wherever post that they found a clearance deal at their Walmart or their Target, while your mileage may vary definitely applies, it gives me the tip-off that, hey, maybe it's a good time to check my Walmart or my Target or my Costco for a similar, if not better, deal. You certainly won't always hit on that, but that's when you know to check. Every time you have to go grocery shopping, if you're going to like Walmart or Target, or if you drive by there, just a quick pop in and walk down the Lego aisle never hurt anyone, and you never know what you're gonna find. Basically, at that point, it's a numbers game. And another website people have used for a long time is called Kashyyyk, and this is a website that allows you to put in your zip code, and then either like the DCPI or UPC information for a particular Lego set, or any other item, I suppose, and find out which stores in your area have it in stock and at what price. Now, I will say, this tool used to be much better. I don't know what happened. I don't quite understand all the inner workings of the technological side of their website and how it interacts with store inventory systems, but I do know that it used to be much better and more accurate with the number of sets at stores being very specific and the exact price being very specific. Now I feel like it's not as good as it used to be, but it is a tool you can add to your repertoire. Fritz says, what do you think our chances are of getting new Book of Boba Fett sets? I think it's 0. I think the Book of Boba Fett, as I look back on it, really wasn't that good. That speeder chase was awful. And like, I don't know, maybe I've just been watching some Star Wars YouTube videos that have got me thinking this way, but man, the Book of Boba Fett just wasn't that good. I think Lego's just onto other stuff, and that is going to be the case for a lot of this new media with Star Wars. If it's not popular, and if it's not good, and therefore people won't like it, then Lego's not going to continue to produce sets on it. And Book of Boba Fett, much like the sequel trilogy, if you haven't noticed, probably falls into that category of it just wasn't that good. I did enjoy it as it was coming out, but as I've looked back on it, I don't think Boba Fett was that good. Hippie wants to know what I think they'll do for Ahsoka's lightsabers with her new show coming out. I think best case, we see the Asajj Ventress lightsaber hilt reused like we saw used for her in 2016. And yeah, maybe like a frosted, translucent white lightsaber blade. I don't know, whatever color is most accurate to what we see in the show, basically. But I don't expect anything special or different than what we've seen in the past at the end of the day. Layton wants to know what storage containers I bought for my Lego storage behind me. They're called the Everything Organizer from the Container Store, which should sponsor me, by the way. That Lego guy says, what do you think would be the best prequel Master Builder series set? And of the first 3 movies, I would have to go with Kashyyyk. I think the potential for having just opposing vehicles all in one set would be insane, plus the scenery of like one big Kashyyyk tree and some of the Kashyyyk docks and maybe some of the beachfront with the Wookiee barricades set up and everything. Could be a lot of fun, and so much fun that Lego even potentially considered this back in the mid-2000s. There exists a prototype of a Kashyyyk playset that could have released at some point in like the late 2000s if Lego had gone ahead with it, and unfortunately they didn't, but it looks really cool. I always actually thought this was MandR until I happened upon higher quality versions of this image, and you can clearly see that it is Kashyyyk because we have the Wookiee Ornithopter, which looks better than the one they came out with in 2005. I guess there's a radar dish back there. I'm not exactly sure where that is on Kashyyyk. I'm not super familiar. There's also what looks like a big rock out front, or Yoda's pod that he escapes on. That would have to be part of a Master Builder series Kashyyyk experience. It looks like some sort of display card, but certainly not like something that we've ever seen in an official Lego set. We also see what looks like a Kashyyyk trooper with a couple of battle droids and then even more clone troopers up in the trees, it looks like. Yeah, this is definitely what would have been a Kashyyyk playset back in the late 2000s, but of course it never released. Seeing something like that in Master Builder series style in 2025 would bring tears to my eyes. Potato.exe says, in relation to sets like the Temple of Doom or the rumored Jabba's Palace / Throne Room, why does Lego go through the trouble of designing these remade sets only for them to be canceled, delayed, or retired early for the same reasons as their previous iterations? The last Jabba's Palace was retired early due to being offensive, and I think there was something similar with the Temple of Doom. Now I have 2 things to say with this. I think that the Jabba's Throne Room set that would be coming out would look nothing like the Jabba's Palace of 2012. So I don't think that they went through the trouble of designing this new set and made it exactly like the old one and then we're like, oh no, what did we do? Like, I don't think that happened. As far as the Temple of Doom, I think you have a much better case. I have no idea how they got all the way to this point of like, here's a completed set, it's on the production line, and then they were like, oh, child slavery? We can't do that. But I also wanted to speak to something that I've seen in a similar vein to what you wrote, but not exactly what you wrote. When they canceled Temple of Doom, I found it really interesting that some people were like, oh, LEGO went through all this trouble, they made this whole set just to cancel it. I mean, what a waste of designers' effort and all this time and money they must have spent on it. We certainly will never know the full answer to this, but LEGO probably cancels a lot more sets than we know, or at least goes down the route of trying to figure out if it's a viable option to sell. We'll call right back to our Kashyyyk Master Builder Series image, and this image is actually part of a much larger image with way more prototype LEGO Star Wars sets that were never released. And nobody, of course, ever stops to think, oh, the designers wasted all of their time. That's kind of the whole point. You have to try things out to see if they'll work as a viable product. Sometimes it gets a lot further along, unfortunately, in the case of the Temple of Doom or Jabba's Throne Room or the Osprey, where it's like, oh, it's ready to go to market, and then it's pulled at the last second, and that's not a great look for LEGO, certainly, and I'm sure they're not happy about it. But if you look at this very image, we'll see tons of canceled LEGO Star Wars sets, like the Yavin 4, that, of course, we may be seeing a new version of this summer, the UCS Watto's bust that I talked about previously, an early version of the UCS Slave 1, the medical droid from Episode 3, which is pretty sick, and a very early version of a UCS probe droid. Of course, they made the 18+ probe droid just a couple years ago, but this was probably made a decade plus ago. And if you look to the bottom of the image, there's some rather obscure Clone Wars vehicles that they had certainly prototyped out and potentially were thinking about making as full sets, including a fan favorite like the UT-AT with love. I don't know if you can even see it back there, but I'd love for that one to someday get released. There's even a UCS Vulture droid, which I think was part of a fan vote back in like 2005, but that one obviously didn't win. Not to say that everything we see in that image was like 100% ready to go and release, but they definitely did some amount of work to get to where they were on those. L7 Casanova says, are there any videos or reviews you filmed but had to scrap because of time constraints, window of opportunity, or anything of the like? Recently, I did scrap a video that I was basically completely done with. I think it's nearly 30 minutes long. I don't know, my editor was working on it. It was a room tour of my old bedroom, and I was gonna upload it right before I moved into this house. I lived here for about a month now, and I cannot upload that video to my channel because everyone is expecting like a new house tour, which is gonna happen eventually. To be really frank, it'll probably be in the fourth quarter of this year. I just wanna have like everything in my house set up the way I wanna have it set up to do a room tour with, because right now we just have like rooms with boxes and there's like, what am I gonna, here's a box, like who cares to see that, you know? I can't upload a room tour of my old room because people are expecting the new thing, so I can't upload the old thing. So I'll probably upload the old thing as like a members only video since it's done anyway. But yeah, that's definitely a window of opportunity thing. Pirate King says, do you think the Stormtrooper Mech is the best way to Imperial Army build besides the minifig poly bags? But I'm just gonna do some simple math for you. A Stormtrooper Mech is supposedly gonna cost $16, and the set that just retired was the Imperial Armored Marauder, commonly on sale for $32. So for the price of 2 mechs, you could get the Imperial Armored Marauder, which would on its own include 2 regular Stormtroopers, plus an artillery trooper and a Grief Karga, just as a bonus, I suppose. And then you get the full vehicle from the set too, not some crappy mechs. So absolutely, it is not the best way to army build Stormtroopers. I would highly advise against that. I mean, you could use things like today's sponsor, Whatnot, and find Stormtroopers on there for probably $4 or $5 instead of spending $16. Speaking of, let's talk about our sponsor. Whatnot is the live auction app that you didn't know you needed. With Whatnot, you can buy and sell tons of different things. Let's just say you're looking to build a Stormtrooper army. I saw this fine pair sell for just $10. That's $5 a piece, significantly cheaper than $16 per Stormtrooper mech to build your army. Whatnot has an easy to understand rating system so that you know you're buying from a seller you can trust. Whatnot's also a great place to buy LEGO Star Wars monochrome minifigures, such as the Clone Troopers that I've collected over the past year, but many sellers sell tons of other different characters in monochrome colors. Also on the app, you can find things like sports cards, Funko Pops, Apple products, and even video games. I took it upon myself to ask this fella the dumbest question I could think of.
Fortnite? I don't think so. Usually they're download codes, Fortnite.
He gave me a nicer answer than I deserved. If you sign up today using the link in the description, you can get $15 off your first purchase on Whatnot, and make sure you follow me on there. I'll be giving away at least $500 of free LEGO on Whatnot every month this year. Pretty insane. Trains, Games, and More says he was distracted by my New York Yoda and wants to know if I'll ever move him from that spot. I mean, I wouldn't want you to be distracted by him, so of course I can move him for you. Snafu says, what are your top 3 LEGO themes of all time? Undisputed number 1 is LEGO Star Wars. And then split between 2 and 3, I would probably go with LEGO Harry Potter because that's kind of the second thing on the channel, or at least for a long time it was. I mean, Lord of the Rings and Indiana Jones and Pirates of the Caribbean are all really good, but I own more Harry Potter than probably all of those combined, so to me it wouldn't make sense to pick anything over that. And then I think I have to go with LEGO Ideas, not because every set that they come out with is a hit for me personally, but they still have some absolute bangers from time to time. The Medieval Blacksmith was amazing. I loved Pirates of Barracuda Bay, the Saturn V. There's tons of LEGO Ideas sets to love, and I think it's just a fantastic line that they have put together over the years. Reply to the pinned comment below with your top 3 LEGO themes. Jason says, when do you think LEGO will step up to a 360-degree printing? I bought a non-LEGO minifigure at a local toy show just because the all-around printing looks fantastic. And yeah, this is something some knockoff companies have been doing for quite a while, as have custom companies onto official LEGO parts. And I don't see this as something LEGO is ever gonna do. Probably because it might wear poorly on the inside of the torso when the arm rubs on it. So that would be a quality issue. Not that LEGO cares that much about quality if we take a look around. And another reason not to do that is to not go overboard with detail. Now, obviously LEGO makes detailed minifigures, but there is still a level that some of the custom companies like Clone Army Customs go to with figures like Clone Troopers where it's just insane. And LEGO minifigures, while they do get the details right a lot of the time, but they don't go overboard and do every little fold in the clothing and mark and everything. Like, I definitely think there's a level of it that LEGO has reached that's probably something they shouldn't go much further beyond as far as the printing detail, because I don't think I want LEGO figures to look like custom figures. I do want that separation, and they currently have that. So I kind of like where they're at now, and I just don't see them doing 360-degree printing because they're probably cheap anyway. Adam says, I'm going to buy my first UCS set and I'm having trouble deciding on which one to purchase. I have a few in mind. You should have listed them. Any advice that can help me close in on buying the one I want? The UCS AT-AT, you will never be unhappy with. The UCS Millennium Falcon, you will never be unhappy with. The UCS Gunship, you might be unhappy with, so I'd stay away from it. The Mos Eisley Cantina, you would never be unhappy with. What else is out there? R2-D2, I'd just pass. It's R2-D2. It's just kind of not that exciting. Same goes for Luke's Landspeeder. I would also pass on that. If you're in that $240 price bracket, though, the upcoming option is obviously going to be a UCS X-Wing, which would not be that bad since it's obviously your first UCS set, the X-Wing being the X-Wing. Not a bad first UCS set. So depending on your budget, I'd pick from the X-Wing, the Cantina, or the AT-AT. You just got to decide which one there. Edgerman says, I think if you put a custom LED sign in the background, it would be amazing. And I agree. Now, I don't necessarily plan on using this for my Ask MandR setup forever, but even when I'm doing mocks in this room or whatever, like a nice centered MandRproductions sign or something back there would be fantastic. And I'll definitely look into that. Something just maybe neon lights or whatever. I don't know. There's definitely a lot of potential there. The other thing with this like LED sign thing is, so for the new LEGO store that Orlando Brick Co. is opening that I'm going to have office space in, they came to me and they were like, hey, we're going to get the big signs that they're going to put up on the front of the building. And they're like, you could get a sign. There's space. I never like imagined in my wildest dreams that I could have a sign on a building. Like that's a pretty crazy like level of legitimacy to like a thing. And as cool as it would have been, it was like probably going to be $4,000 to just have a giant light up sign on the front of a building. Like it would have been cool, but I could probably use $4,000 better elsewhere. So I didn't end up going through with that. They're getting like their Orlando Brick Co. sign to put up there, and I won't have MandRproductions sign up there, but that's okay. I'll still have my office space, and that's what matters. Little Wookie says, what is your favorite Apple product, and do you have any suggestions for a first Apple product for a young YouTube creator? The best thing I have right now is this MacBook Pro from 2021. It's decked out, and I absolutely love it. It has been my workhorse for the past year and a half or so, and hopefully can be for many years to come because it's just a fantastic computer. But the best thing that like any new YouTube creator can have is just their phone, whether it's an Apple phone or not. I know a lot of younger people like really into Apple, and I certainly have fallen into that trap too. But any modern phone will do it for you because you can just download an editing software and you can film all of your videos on your phone, especially if you're young, middle school, high school. It's a really good way to just practice and start making content online. it does everything that you need. Like, all of it can be done on here. Like, I could theoretically make my videos on here without anything else. I could be using this to film it, has the microphone. I could be using this to edit it and then upload it and do the thumbnail. Obviously, it's not like ideal, but it can be done. And so if you're just starting out, like, and you don't have like a big budget, like, it's very doable. Just Too Good might still do all of his videos completely on his phone. At least a couple of years he was still doing all of his videos on his phone, right? And his channel at that point was 500,000 subs. So you can see you can grow a pretty big presence online with just your phone. You don't even need the computer or the camera. You do need lights. I mean, at least have good lights in your bedroom. You can be pretty bare bones with it and do a lot. It's pretty crazy. As God's Prime says, in Germany, it's quite different for adult fans of LEGO when it comes to opinions. If you're not heavily criticizing LEGO on everything, you get the online hate. I think that's interesting. I mean, I personally don't think I'm the heavily criticizing on LEGO on everything guy. I really think I provide a broad spectrum of opinions, good and bad. I know some people don't think that, but I'm really just pointing out what I see. Like, I look at a thing and I talk about it. But specifically pertaining to the Germany part of this question, I actually have a proposal to hopefully a viewer out there that would be interested in a job. And I'm looking for someone to translate my videos from English to German to upload to a separate German YouTube channel of MandR Productions. So literally my videos just dubbed in German. Send me a DM on Instagram or Twitter or an email to the email on screen, and hopefully we can work something out, because it's something that I have been dying to do and I just know I need to be doing it, and your question reminded me and I was like, oh, it's probably a good time to put it out there. Anyway, thank you very much for the support on last week's episode. It was kind of unexpected, but very, very much appreciated. And thank you for the support on the latest rumor video with like 300,000 views in less than a week. That is just absurd. Tap the thumbs up button if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next week.